Okay, all right, 6 o'clock, calling the meeting to order. Good evening, everybody. All right, let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Public comments. Daniel, can you pass me down the, even better. All right, we got 2 minutes, so I will, 2 minutes or 3 minutes? 3 minutes, I'm sorry, 3 minutes. So Mary, you're up first.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it. I was a bit disturbed to read the article in the paper about the firing of our city administrator, who's been on the job for a year. And I think that's like wasting our taxpayer money, since we spent a lot of money looking for a new administrator for the city. And I've never been one for the at-will firing. I think there should always be cause, and that keeps the lawsuits down to a minimum. The other thing is sewer ordinance. I think it needs to be done and dusted. We can procrastinate and do a moratorium, but there are rules about moratoriums. There are new septic field rules that took effect last year too, and they're only going to become more stringent as time goes by. So I think it's only fair to those of us who are already paying $185 a month that everybody joins the crowd and gets to pay the same amount for the new plant. I think that's only fair. Also, when you're doing a moratorium, you've got to be finding the facts, and I hope to see that tonight. Also, in speaking with someone the other day, it came to my attention, and this was something we worked on many years ago. We have subdivisions in our community that have vaults. And those vaults are water retention areas, and they have to be looked at by homeowners associations. And apparently we don't have homeowners associations for all the subdivisions. For example, Chinnadeer, Hidden Ridge, and Angel Heights. And those vaults do need maintenance. So it'd be interesting to know who's maintaining them and how they're being maintained, and if they're actually working how they're supposed to be working. So just something, I know you have nothing to do, and this will just be something for your to do. So, and I've been hearing some things about that our city planner position. The city of Stevenson needs a full-time city planner. We have a lot of regulations, and those are not the ones that we just made, but that have been imposed upon from the state legislature. So I do think we need a full-time city planner who knows all the codes and knows how the city runs and how we can plan for the future. So I hope we're not going to be thinking to save some money and split duties and all this. The city needs a full-time planner. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Mary. Looks like maybe Rick Jessel.
Yeah. Thank you, and thank you for taking over the city administrator job. That's a highly complex job, and learning it on the fly is really tough. So I appreciate that, and I'm sure other people appreciate it also in the community. So thank you for that. The second thing is the formal declaration of vacancy. Washington State, in terms of Pat Rice's resignation, Washington State considers the resignation valid the moment it is delivered to the governing body or at a future time specified in the notice. Even if the council votes to accept the resignation today, the office does not become vacant until the effective date specified on the resignation letter. one of the most important consequences of Washington law is that a council member typically has the right to rescind or withdraw their resignation at any time before the effective date, even if the council has already voted to accept it. Because the vacancy has not yet occurred, a member still holds legal title to the office. So Pat could rescind or withdraw. Also, as far as establishing a process, the council cannot jump the gun on appointing a replacement. No early appointments, according to Washington State Attorney General opinions. And the timeline, once the effective date passes and the seat is truly vacant, the council has 90 days to approve a qualified replacement. So the resolution is understood to be certainly taken, but it does not have any effect until the effective date of the 28th of February. I would urge Pat to reconsider. He has institutional knowledge among the council members. He's pretty much served for the longest, as well as Lucy, and I would urge Pat to stay on to complete his term. We have new council members, and you've been very active, Pat, in terms of the politics of getting people elected. There's been a lot of changes in the past few months. I think you have taken a lot of steps to make that happen, and I think your resignation, I would ask you to reconsider it and think about helping the folks that you got in here and to be of maximum help to the reorganization of the city council. And I think the people that are coming on that are new, both staff and council members would benefit from that. And the other thing is YouTube videos. I'd urge you to state that YouTube videos, the only way I can understand city council meetings is to go home and replay the live city council meeting with subtitles. I could not hear half of what the heck was going on. I do have a hearing loss. And with the subtitles, it was clear, and at one point, there were misrepresentations by a staff member about what the sewer committee was up to as far as considering the city to be responsible for the new sewer lines. That was never what the the sewer committee said. And the only time I realized that was when I saw it in the subtitles. And that happened a few months before, and I sent a letter to the council members about that. And that was very helpful. So as good a system as you have, I still can't hear people if you're talking a low voice. And so I would urge you to continue the live video and have the subtitles. So.
Okay, all right, thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
Okay, looks like Brian McNamara.
That's me. I don't know, my letter to Mike, I wrote a comment
It's
and I
in
don't
there.
know if you all have it. I haven't received a new, I haven't received a new packet. So, first of all, I am here to speak on the sewer issue, but I would like to echo what you have said, particularly regarding Pat's tenure here. Really appreciated that. And he's been a good voice for a reason. But I'm really here to discuss the mandatory connection to the city sewer. Many of my neighbors never requested that. We were not notified that of what the costs were in advance. the sewer and septic system, the sewer system here has been problematic for a long time. The city has acknowledged in these meetings, planning commission meetings by mayors that, or by city administrators, that the problem is of our own making, that it was not managed, mismanaged, and development was encouraged around it, more high use businesses. So, and also in city council meetings in the past, it has been stated by city council members that, you know, and by, especially by the administration, that we need to recoup our losses. You know, we need to get new payers. And that is really kind of not the right way to go. So there are many people that are going to be fine, myself included. I am a homeowner who will be affected by that financially, and I'm not going to go through the bullet points in here, but it does need reconsideration. And my belief is that, you know, based on, you know, so I'm just going to tell you what the information is in here, and I'm not an eloquent speaker. Hopefully, what I would say is that the council should do this. First of all, we need an open meeting with the affected stakeholders. There's been the mention of 25 stakeholders. There's more than that, because this whole thing, I'm mostly considering Frank Johns. It was going to run up all the way up the hill and past Loop, and it ended at my house. So I'm in. So we need we need a meeting with the city council, us affected people all over town. We need a meeting here with you before it goes out to the public and all of that. Second, there should be a direct communication with each stakeholder. Also, at this point, I think the city should waive the forced payment of the cost of a project that many did not apply for. If we have a certain working septic system, we should be allowed to stay on it. And the grace periods and stuff like that, the carrots that they're offering are not real financial carrots in the long run. And I think they should also waive the monthly fines for not connecting until such time as the septic system owners, the septic system fails. At that point, I can see it. It makes sense. And you know, finally, I do not think that owners who do have working septic systems, like myself, have spent money on them, should be forced in the event of connecting to disconnect their septic system. And one of my bullet points was the weakness of the transference of all of the east side of Stevenson sewer under that bridge and into the sewage treatment plant. If you go over there tomorrow, you will see large woody debris stuck behind the pipe at the bottom of the dam on the upwind side. We've had landslides, floods. I have seen the water go over, you know, up to that dam or the bridge. So that's another point. But at this time, I think the city should take heed and waive that cost. Nobody wanted that. You're asking us to pay for past mistakes by city council. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Brian. All right, Scott Robinson.
That's me. I'm Scott Robinson. I live here in Stevenson. I've lived here for 11 years, and for the first 10 years, it's been wonderful. For the last year, it's been a nightmare. I concur with what this gentleman just said. I have a septic tank. I take good care of it. And now I'm being told I have to crush it, which is a cost. And I love it. I love my property as it is. Thank you very much. And I have to pay thousands of dollars to have it hooked up. And then pay what somebody said, $180 some dollars a month for decades to come. I'm willing to take the initiative to be able to take care of my septic tank, which I've been doing fine for many years. and not have to pay all this money so that we can subsidize people, many of which don't have an option because on some properties, they can't put a septic tank in. I'm sorry about that, but unlike what this lady said before, we're not all equal. It's not all fair because the property values are different for different people for various reasons I don't want to get into right now. Not only am I upset about this matter and have lost sleep for a number of days since this dark cloud came up on top of us, but so have my neighbors. But some of those neighbors, they're not my neighbors anymore. They don't have this problem because they left this town, they sold their house, and they sold it for less money than they would have sold it for had this big cloud not been placed upon us by the city council. Because now those houses, like mine, have to be renovated, and renovated houses sell for less than houses that don't need renovation. Trying to get more people on to the system of paying for the sewer system is a lot like, my analogy is, where there is substance abuse in a community and saying, well, the answer to that is bringing more people in and addicting them. It doesn't work. In big cities, they've tried this and failed. We don't want to be like a big city. They want to be like us, or at least the us we were until a year ago. I have more to say, but my time's up, I'm sure.
Okay.
So thank you.
All right, thanks, Scott. Looks like Sam Hins.
In Easted.
Okay, could read.
I'm living in Stevenson. I'll be as short as I can. The video posting thing, I do feel fairly strongly that I know a lot of citizens will watch this meeting after the fact. Because the schedule doesn't work out. So I hope the video is planned to be posted somewhere at some point, because that is a way of communicating with the citizens. And this is a citizens representative thing. So I think it sends a message to the citizens that isn't real popular. It isn't a positive. The other comment is this city administrator issue. My concern, if it's, I don't know, I think Mary said, it's not clear why he departed or why he was departed. How are we going to encourage somebody else to pick up and move into Stevenson? In this, we have a track record of a little bit of turnover in our city staff. It's going to be a challenge, I believe, to find someone from outside who is willing to risk moving here. We've dug a hole, over the last year and a half in our turnover. So I just have a concern there. And I hope the city has a plan to deal with that. Thank you.
Okay, that it for public comment anymore? Okay.
There was a hand raised, but
Oh.
it's not there anymore. Oh, here we go.
Mitch? Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, yeah, I'm calling in on the YouTube video thing as well. I watched the YouTube videos, a lot of meetings back from the actual ones that are happening. And it's one of the better platforms that I've been around. I've been through the Zoom stuff, the Teams meetings, that kind of stuff. And actually, I think YouTube is probably the best platform that I've seen to be able to go back and review, because not everybody can make it to these meetings. And then even if you are at the meeting, you go like something else comes up 3 months down the road or next year, you're like, oh crap, that one meeting that I went to, you can go back and you actually watch it. And as somebody else had mentioned, the subtitles and stuff does help, especially in situations where the voices are fairly low in the public a lot of times. They're low. It's hard to follow. But with the YouTube platform, I'm all for keeping it, preserving it. And it just seems like it's a great tool to keep the public informed as after meetings have passed that can't make it to the meetings. So hopefully we'll be able to work around that and actually keep that YouTube platform in place. And then also I would like to thank Councilman Rice for his time that he's put in at the city council trying to represent the people of Stevenson. that's getting hard to find in that city council right now. And it's going to be pretty tough to see him leave there, but I think he's on the right path to step out. I don't blame him one bit. He's been there. He's did what he's had to do. He's tried to draw attention to the things that are wrong with that city. Nobody seems to really listen very well. They all pass the buck and point fingers, but the attention's been drawn to the things that are wrong with it. And a lot of that has to do with what Pat Rice has done. Dave Cox has been good at, for the most part, at bringing up a lot of the stuff and bringing it to the attention. And I think he has good intentions to represent the public as well as what Pat did. So hopefully Dave will hang on for a while longer, but I just wanted to say thank you to Councilman Rice for the time that he has put in at the city. It's been well appreciated. And that's all I have.
Okay, right. Thanks, Mitch. All right. Is there anyone else? Is that it for public comment? Okay, we'll close that. Let's see here. Number 3, changes to the agenda. I don't have any changes. Does anybody else? Okay. Consent agenda. I will entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve consent agenda items A and B.
Is there
Second.
second? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aaron?
Aye.
Okay, great. All right, Sheriff's Office report. Tracy.
Good evening. You have been provided documents for the month of January for the services that we provide you. I'm here to see if you have any questions concerning those documents. You do a wonderful job, Mr. Sheriff. And if I may, Pat, I'd like to thank you for your service with the city and your involvement in the budget process while you've been here. Your input's been valuable. Okay. Anything else?
No.
All right.
Thanks,
you.
Tracy. All right, let's see. Now we're on to council business. Formal acknowledgement of resignation and declaration of vacancy. So effective January 28th, position number 4. February 28th for position number 4.
You want me to leave now?
Sorry.
Sure.
So thank you, Pat. So I guess we have a motion, or we have a resolution, it looks like, in our packet.
Drafted it in the form of resolution. However, though, Mr. Jessel is correct. I believe I did mention that. He is in office until February 28th is the date of his letter. So obviously the city has the right to go ahead and get the process rolling, knowing that Mr. Rice could literally come in on February 28th and say, no, I want to stay. But the resolution is simply to acknowledge that he's doing that and then set up the process for the interviews going forward. But it's not any disrespect to Mr. Rice or his service.
Yep. Okay.
So that's what's on the agenda for review.
All right. I will entertain a motion.
Okay.
I will move, to adopt resolution 2026-648 of the city council of the city of Stevenson, Washington, declaring a vacancy in the city council position number 4 and establishing a process to fill said vacancy after February 28th, 2026.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All right,
Mr. Mute, does that cover it?
Yes, sir.
that's the, okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, well, thank you for your service, Councilman Rice. And then, go on to the next in order to, get moving on the, city administrator portion. I went ahead and, made a call to Prockman and Associates, who, we've last used in the recruitment back when I was on council in 2000.
Yeah, Nick Hogan came on.
Yeah, what year was that? It was
2010.
12?
14?
Yeah, so we've used them in the past, and we actually, for the last recruitment, we used SGR, correct? This very last one last year or the year before, whenever we started that process, and that was about 29,000. So Prockman's already, they're at about 16.5 plus the authorization for 3,500 for expenses, so the recruitment is right around 20K. But with that, we're also asking for the administrative placement services, and we don't have to pay for PERS or any of the other,
Benefit.
medical benefits and all that stuff. So the interim should hopefully get us through until we can, get the permanent in place. So any questions? And they thought the permanent in place, or excuse me, the interim could be 1 to 2 weeks. Maybe to get someone, maybe from a larger city that can come down here. They're also gonna try to find someone in the local gorge area. So I'll keep you informed about that. And then and I was hoping Dave and Tina, you would help me on that recruiting initiative of the temporary, just interviewing and so forth. And then the permanent would be, it's probably gonna be 2 or 3 months is kind of what she said, and similar recruiting to what we did last time. So,
Yeah, it took SGR quite a bit longer, didn't it, Pat?
Yes, it could have been, you could have a lot more efficient process than that was.
Yeah.
okay.
That was just.
Okay.
And Prothman is known kind of nationwide as this is their niche, is public administration, things like that. And they post regularly.
Yeah.
I probably get 3 a month from Prothman saying, hey, we're looking for another person to do this.
Mhm.
They just
Great-
happen to get on their mailing. list or their
Great
email.
network.
What's
and Great network, and
Yeah.
they're good at coaching,
Yeah.
so. Okay. Any questions or
Yeah.
proposal?
Is Mayor Taylor, could you explain more? Okay, it sounds like from what I'm hearing and what I've read that we're gonna be using this service for 2 things. One, you're the interim now for a short period of time. So then they're gonna help us find an interim to take over. So we have an interim. And then and then they'll help us find a permanent. Okay, so in your mind, in your research, do you know how long what's your guess? Because we don't know yet. What's your guess how long you're gonna be stuck doing your part versus how quickly you can bring in an interim? And you did mention that briefly in your statement there, but I kind of missed it. So
Yeah.
I think you've touched on it,
Yeah,
but.
so I'm hoping to be in this role for a couple weeks. You're not paying me any extra. Anymore. I'm still getting my $600 mayor stipend. So I'm hoping a couple weeks. And I've been here every day helping the staff. And just kind of learning along. So that's been, it's been an eye-opening experience for sure. And then pivot to a temporary, getting someone with professional level, maybe from a larger city, maybe a director level. Someone maybe retired that has a lot of experience that can come here and give us some sound advice of how other cities do it. And then maybe even kind of help me scope what we need for the future a little bit. That would be a nice thing to have, to see what kind of administrator, long range do we want to look for that fits our city and our needs. So it's kind of a multi-pronged thing. So a couple weeks and then a couple months until the permanent.
And the only comment I'll make that I'll add to what you said, I think you're on the right track because the experience I've had when we researched this before, there are a lot of, as you describe interims out there that do this for municipalities. It's quite common, just like it is for school districts. So I think that the chances of finding someone probably are pretty high, because there's a whole market out there, like you or Mr. Mutha mentioned somebody retired or something. That network out there is there and available. So,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
And they are very qualified individuals too.
So. All right, any more questions, comments? Okay, I will entertain a motion.
Go ahead.
I gotta read the whole thing, because I have to do it so properly according to Mr. Muth.
We gotta have to have the economics in there, Mr. Rice. It is a little longer because there's two economic.
Okay.
I did try to put the cheat sheet in here. Maybe.
I'll just read it. I would move that we adopt an ordinance establishing a 3-month no, wait, wrong one. You can see why I don't do these. Okay. Approval, I would make a motion for the approval of the professional services agreement with Prossman and Associates for the city administrator executive recruitment services in the amount of $16,500 authorization up to $3,500 for related expenses, and authorization of up to $12,000 for interim administrative placement services for a total amount not to exceed $32,000.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Right, any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 All right, the motion carries. All right, moving on to the sewer ordinance discussion. So, I think the intent of this, is more of a, to hit a pause, time out. There's been a lot of discussion about the carrots. And I think that's kind of maybe where our heads are at of how to maybe incentivize things. And, you know, with the new council, there was definitely some strong opinions in this. We had a retreat where we discussed it. I was hoping to have some alternatives yet. I'm still working through that, but, yeah, I think as far as my role of what I want to see out of this, I want to see something that's a little simpler, to understand and administer. So I think that's, as you guys kind of work through the dates and the timing and the dollars, you know, that's part of my commitment to this, is just to kind of streamline this ordinance and make it a little more user friendly and that people can understand too. So I want to work on that piece of it. So, anything?
Maybe I
else?
could just note the agenda listed as sewer ordinance discussion. It actually will be a resolution.
Okay,
The ordinance will remain in place. What you're doing is you're
Yes.
resolving as a council to put the pause or moratorium on just the fine/collection process.
yes,
So
that
it's
is,
not an ordinance, it's just a resolution that puts a stop for whatever period of time the council wants. I apologize, I'm losing my voice.
sewer, on the sewer ordinance, a resolution, adopted resolution.
Resolution for the moratorium on just that portion of, the rest of the ordinance stays in place. You're
Okay.
addressing just fees, penalties, the additional costs that have been raised by the citizens.
So the penalties would have gone into effect in April, I believe, and that's kind of what we're hitting the timeout for.
Oh, April, yeah.
Yeah.
So what you're getting ahead of that, so you're putting that in place before anybody would have. If you were to have adopted it and actually issued a penalty to a resident, you couldn't claw that back from us. We would have to accept it, keep it going. So the idea here is to avoid any citizen having to pay up front now and be stuck until council makes their own decision on how you want to proceed with this ordinance.
Yep.
Or change it, modify it, adopt it, however you want to do it.
And now that we've had one or two people that have switched over, or one, we've had one person,
One person.
it doesn't affect them. So, and if someone else wanted to switch over, how would we handle that? Do we have anybody in the queue?
I think if there was people that wanted to switch over, that since we're in a moratorium, they'd have to wait at that point.
Okay, or maybe we can find a way to make it work for them or something with. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd figure something out.
Sure.
Okay, we'll cross that bridge when it comes to
I
it.
have a question.
Yeah.
Is that 3 months start in April or is it starting now?
Right?
Yeah, if you adopt the resolution this evening, that's when it would go into tomorrow would go into effect, not today, but then it would be in effect for the 3 months. You can have your moratorium up to 1 year,
Okay,
but obviously taking bite sizes at
Yeah.
it so that you guys can
Yeah.
keep it on your radar.
you know, I threw 3 months out there just to put some pressure on us to get this finalized so we can move on, go tackle some other things. So,
I would prefer that we look at a maximum of 6 months
oh, okay,
rather than finite to 3 months.
okay,
Only because
Yeah.
of the other issues that we have going on in regards to finding a city administrator and, some of those other issues. We have a water intake issue that we're gonna have to be talking about. And I think a 6 month
Okay.
window would give us a little bit more breathing room to be able to get that taken care of. And it does not impact anyone having to pay any additional fees right now.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm interested in.
Fees were, how much were they? $50 a month for the 20-some people that would have been affected that weren't already switching over or wouldn't qualify for a variance. I think we had 20 people that would have had to pay this penalty. So we're not missing out on much money by letting this. Okay,
The whole thing, you're not.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
And Mr. Cox, you'll note that the resolution, the duration, I've left it blank. I did put 27 in there, but if you're saying 6 months, that would be what, August or September of 26?
Of 26, yeah.
I can make that change if the motion carries.
Okay.
Right now, it's just a blank.
Okay.
Okay. All right, would you like to,
Sure,
make
I
a
will.
motion?
I would move to adopt a resolution establishing a 6-month moratorium on the implementation and enforcement of the sewer ordinance.
All right,
Effective immediately upon passage to allow council time for further review and analysis and to schedule the required public hearing within the statutory timeframe.
Second.
all right, any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries.
And just to confirm, when I counted 6 months, August or September, you tell me what month you want it to end and I make sure
I
it
think
gets
September.
end of September or September 1. Just whatever the council chooses.
Well, let's say in August.
But,
Yeah, August 19th, but if it goes from tomorrow, it's only,
well, 20, yeah.
so August 20th or September,
September 1.
September 1, okay.
Now, technically, is that different? I mean, do we need
Well-
to vote on that?
No,
Or, okay, we just want to make sure September 1 sticks.
Right.
Okay.
It'll be
Sorry.
September 20, because tomorrow will be the first day of its enforcement. If you want to carry it 6 months, that actually would be August 20. Just so we're clear on that. So it'd be August 20 and 26. If you want to change it, that'd be a 7-month moratorium if we go to September. And I just want to be clear on the record.
Hey,
Right?
how about if I change?
It's a Scrivener's change, so we don't need to vote again.
No, but, rather than stating the month, have it end August 31st.
August 3rd. Okay.
That right?
Mhm.
30 days September. Yeah.
Just so the record shows is what I want, that everybody's okay with that date changing. When somebody doesn't go back to the technical motion and say, sorry,
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm clarifying that on section 3, the duration cannot be longer than August 31st, 2026. Okay.
We don't need to redo the motion.
No.
Okay. All right, well, that is, that's it. We will, and my goal here, guys, is to get us together, again, and kind of see where we want to be and then start, working towards that. I don't know that I expect wild or outrageous changes, but we just need to zero in on kind of,
How that's all
Yeah.
gonna work.
yeah, okay.
Will not work.
All right, moving on to D, discussion on council meeting recordings. So yeah, this is kind of an interesting topic, I got into this role and, I think with new council as well, we're learning a ton. And I think I said, when I get in here, I might break stuff, and I think I might have. So I kind of how this started is that, with our meetings, I just have been really focused from the city perspective in streamlining things and finding where we have redundancy and duplication. And there's just a lot of our systems and how the city does business is very clunky. And I'm kind of looking through that lens as we go through this. Why are we doing that? What happens if this happens? So that's kind of where my head is at. But I just wanted to kind of, go through the access layers that we have now for public meetings. We have in-person attendance. So thank you all for coming. We have Zoom live stream, which is happening now, as well as there is a Zoom recording. And I just learned today, thanks to Daniel, who's been amazing on all this technical stuff, that the Zoom recording is backed up on a social media backup that we have. So we have that. Then we have YouTube live stream. And we also have the record on the YouTube channel. In addition to that, we have a professional minute taker, Joanna. Thank you, Joanna. Is she on today?
Yeah,
All right.
her hand is raised. And her hand is raised. She probably has a question about the motion you made.
Oh, oops.
Hi, thank you. You had a motion but no vote.
Oh,
oh,
I
I see.
voted, didn't we?
I
voted.
seconded
Yeah,
it.
Tina seconded.
Yeah.
Okay, but did we have the vote? And we've had so many votes already that I don't remember.
Actually, my notes, I've got
You guys
Pat motion on the Prothman hire, Tina second there. I did not write down who made the motion on the sewer ordinance moratorium.
It
So
was
Dave,
Dave,
and
and
then I think you seconded.
Yes,
and she's saying, did we vote on that? Did we-
Everybody said aye, I thought.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, it must, okay, it got jumbled up. Thank you.
Okay, or we'll watch the video.
Thank you for
I
giving
always
another
do
argument for the video.
Joanna, would you like us to vote again?
No, I trust you.
Okay. All right, so back to the topic here. So we have a professional minute taker, Joanna, and we have audio recordings, but some, not all. It's kind of jumbled or it's out of date. We're not sure if they're kind of out there. So I guess the question, before council is really, to continue YouTube and how much do we want to go down this path. So YouTube has some issues I thought we should talk about, and one of the big ones is it's not on our platform. We don't own it. Videos can be flagged or removed. With AI, they scan everything. If there's any hate speech or anti-trans, that video gets kicked off. If there's copyright, if someone's playing a song or your ringtone comes through, boom, that video gets kicked off. So
And it's kicked off the channel. It's not just kicked off of YouTube, it's kicked off your channel.
Yeah. So, with that, obviously, if you've been in there, they're very disorganized. The structure just doesn't really align to our municipal retention standards. They try to monetize it with ads. That's another thing that's kind of awkward about it. And I think the big thing is that our official public records are being hosted on a third-party entertainment site. And that's kind of the issue. And the YouTube was started because it was free. And it's great. We're a small town. But a lot of cities have moved away from that on purpose because of these issues. And actually, we've lost some videos that have disappeared off the YouTube channel for maybe some of these reasons. Now, luckily, we do have the backups. But this is kind of goes into the bigger picture of this. So, doing research of what other cities use, a lot of other cities use there's special, government specific platforms that we can post to that then would be linked to our website. So, and I looked it up and it's probably $40 to $110 a month. But then we have more ownership in it. I mean, just today with YouTube, we lost contact because we didn't have the right credentials. So this kind of all plays into it. So I guess the question is, do we want to move away from YouTube and do a different platform that has the same type of service? And then, and do we want to record? So that was another, question as far as how far do we want to do full recordings, audio recordings, and so forth. So I'll turn it over to you guys.
So the Zoom meetings, do those have the words that come up so people that can't maybe hear and they can watch the Zoom meeting back? Because we'll have it posted that all of our meetings will be Zoom recorded, but do they have the words? I don't know.
Closed captioning.
Closed captioning. Do Zoom meetings do that? I don't know. Okay.
They do now.
They do.
I think that's a fairly recent addition to
Okay.
the Zoom platform.
Yeah, so that's ADA compliance.
Okay, so the meetings would still be available for people to find and rewatch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
Zoom,
was my question, if they would still,
Mhm.
if they'd be with the words closed captioning, so people that can't hear us talking on a Zoom meeting can still play back this video that's going on right now and watch it later from home.
yeah, so we own the recordings in Zoom. There's some redundancy here. We have social media archiving that was taking the videos off of YouTube, so we have a backup there. We have Zoom as a main main source of the videos, so we can link them to our website from different platforms. Some platforms are a little better for closed captioning. Some do a better job than others, so there's different features that each service provides.
Right.
So I suppose, we'll have to look at those features and figure out what's best for everybody.
Right, because I could not find all the YouTube meetings today when I was on there trying to find. I was curious to see how many views people actually do watch, and some meetings have only had 15 viewers. Some one had 5,000, but I don't know why that was. In April, there was an April meeting that had like a lot of views, but anyway, I think the average is around 50 to 60 is pretty normal, but then there was some that were only 15 views, so I just, you know, the fact that I couldn't find all the videos, I wanted to kind of average out like how many viewers are actually watching the YouTube videos. I couldn't do that because I couldn't find all the months.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
of the YouTube videos on there.
Would that have something to do with their platform? Because I know that there were some problems people were having finding them today, and we were having problems with the platform. To where, in other words, did something happen today? I'm just wondering, because I've always, for 2 years, I've found every single
Yeah.
one. So that's what I'm wondering. And somebody, I heard a citizen say, well, hey, the last month's isn't on there. So I'm wondering, when we were making these technical changes, did we temporarily lose some? Because all I know is for 2 years, every single one has been on there because I analyze them afterwards.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I've never
Right.
tried to find statistics on YouTube videos before, so.
I think it's important to understand the historical aspect of the city even coming up with YouTube.
Yeah.
This started when COVID hit. And there was discussion about how to have a continuity of operations as far as the city council goes, because of the COVID restrictions. And they talked about several different options, and they chose to go with YouTube, Zoom and YouTube, in order to maintain continuity of governmental operations. That was the purpose. It was not a purpose to set up a new way for public to be involved in the transparency of government or anything else. It wasn't an issue of whether or not we were trying to hide anything. The whole issue was the COVID issue and continuing with that continuity of operations. So that is the background. Washington state law does not require us to record, period. We don't even have to audio record. School boards, yes. City councils, no. So they strongly encourage city councils, any type of government to record.
No, I think we need to record. I think.
But we are not required by state law.
Right.
So minutes are required by our procedures. And we do often broadcast live on YouTube. So minutes are required, written minutes are required by state law, but any type of audio or video recording is not.
Right.
So that's the background.
I have a question. In regards to the Zoom cloud that you guys were talking about earlier, so I know that they typically last, like the cloud recordings usually last anywhere from 30 to 180 days, depending on what type of account we have. Do you know what ours is?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I know we pay, how much do we pay, do you think?
I would have to look it up.
A couple grand a year
Oh, for Zoom?
for Zoom?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we probably have a nicer plan, I assume. Maybe not the premium, but we can look that up.
Yeah, because I know that they keep them, I think it's like after whatever days, whatever they expire on, whether it be, 30 or 120 days or whatever. I think if I read everything correctly, it sounds like they stay for an additional 30 days after that. So it seems like it's quite a bit of time that they're up as well, just through the Zoom cloud.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. I think that if we did continue to record, if that's what we want to do, they would be just a link on our website, just like you see today. It just wouldn't go to YouTube, it would go to the different hosting site. So.
But the link would still be available to the public on our websites.
And there's also the option to continue to record and with Zoom and YouTube and not take away YouTube. But I had a couple questions. Ms. Borden, do you happen to know how much the YouTube costs us a year to maintain that?
I can look.
YouTube would be free, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think it's free.
So free, yeah, my research showed it was free, but so there could be a cost, but it looks so far to be free unless we get information that it wasn't. The other thing of, now I know that one of the reasons to discuss this was potential abuse by some bad actor out there. Have we had any, since we started doing this, have we had any incidences of that, documented incidences of some bad actor manipulating things in such a way that it hurt us? Okay.
Me.
You've never heard us.
On
You're
a social media site, yes.
I don't know.
I know that's hard to believe, Pat.
Okay, so you were the bad actor. So if we could correct you, we're fine then, right? Okay, good. Okay.
Ms. Rice, just going back, historically, we had some issues with comments on the YouTube channel link, which is, I think, the reason why we stopped doing those, but that was the only that I recall.
Okay, and I
verified issues with commentary or.
that puts my colleague's comment in,
Wasn't it too, if you put comments on there, they're public records, even if
Exactly.
you say something really naughty?
but we fixed that, correct?
We did fix it,
Okay.
yes, but that, we did have reported comments.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
But also, Pat, my actual video recording was taken out of context on another social media site.
Yeah, well, yeah, I wouldn't want to talk about half the stuff I've ever said in public life that have been taken out of context because, I mean, but so in other words, that happens because we're in public life. That'll always happen. You know, and these aren't arguments, these are more questions. But, you know, and I appreciate what you said, Mr. Cox, about the transparency was a side benefit and that it was never the intended purpose. And I just think it's great that sometimes we get a good side benefit out of something. Our original motivation was the housekeeping and all that. And so, and I just look at it as we got really lucky in that we also got a lot of transparency out of the issue and people are used to it. Now, one of the things is, you're right, is Van Pelt, that sometimes there's only 15 people watching it. And I've looked at those numbers too. Sometimes those 15 people are the media that are then watching it after the fact and reporting on it. So then we have to, some key stakeholders, so to speak, use it as a tool. In fact, we got some testimony to that effect in our packet from both the Community County Pioneer and Uplift Local News online outfit, talking about how it helped them do their job. So
Right, but
anyway.
is Zoom not a helpful tool? If you can watch this whole meeting on the Zoom recording, it's the same thing that would be on YouTube.
Well, I guess the question is why would you take away and there may be a valid reason, why would you take away a free service that's an add-on to that? In other words, it isn't either or, we could do that. In fact, the people, and I'm not suggesting we add additional social media platforms, but the people that are really successful in advertising what they do, usually they're adding, not taking away. I mean, they'll do a host of things, which I'm not suggesting.
Yeah. We can't take away Zoom though, because we need to have Zoom for these people that have to call in, or when you're in Mexico and you call in. So we already are gonna be paying for Zoom.
Yeah,
So
I guess my position is I'm advocating, I'm making the same statement that I'm thinking we can't take away YouTube either. That's my.
Right. It's fine. I'm just, we're already paying for Zoom, so we could use that as it is a good way to watch a video back.
No, I agree with you, and I'm just saying that
That's fine. Yeah.
we also not paying, we can also have YouTube.
Cause it's just free. Yeah, I get it.
Not just because.
But we are gonna keep the Zoom anyway. It's not going away.
Okay, I guess what I was concerned about is I'm hearing talk like, are we gonna take away YouTube, I guess is a question, and I'm hoping we don't.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, anything?
No, nothing else right now.
Right. So how does this work? Do we make a motion? Do we make a vote on this?
This was discussion topic. You weren't, I mean, if you directed staff to prepare a motion or resolution on how you want to do it. You obviously are going to change your handbook and adopt those procedures, but it's up to council. But tonight your agenda was just to have this broad discussion, get input and feedback. If there's direction that the council would like to give to staff, that's what we would take now. Otherwise, it would simply go to your next meeting. There may be discussion down the road on YouTube, but I think the direction that staff has heard is Zoom is going to stay there. The question is whether or not we don't use YouTube, but you're not making a motion on that right now. That would be the purpose of the agenda item you have.
Okay.
And you're saying, for clear clarification, someone could make a motion.
Well, our agenda item was discussion. So
Okay.
we didn't put on this agenda a motion, so council would have to have a consensus 3-2 to add that to your agenda tonight.
Oh, I get it. So
you put it on
basically,
your agenda.
no motion could be made
Correct.
unless,
Unless
You
the
can't,
council
yeah.
agreed.
yeah.
Council has to agree to change the agenda if you're gonna do that.
Okay, can I ask a point of clarification about tonight's meeting? I think we had an email on this, but I just wanted to clarify. This meeting tonight is gonna be on Zoom, and the way I understood it is also gonna be, not tonight, it's not on Zoom, on YouTube because of technical reasons, but it is gonna be transferred and uploaded to YouTube, this meeting tonight. Is that correct?
Yes, that's our past practice.
Okay.
But we could also put it on a different host website that's more secure. It provides this, most other governments utilize as well. You go to the website, you see the little icon for the TV, you click on that, boop, and that takes you to the video. It still has the closed captioning, it has everything, but it's secure and there's no duplication of efforts. We already have the Zoom account, we already have a Zoom recording. And then this, what's happening here is going to YouTube as well. So
Okay.
it's a duplication of efforts. And that's kind of where I'm like,
Okay.
does this really make sense that we're duplicating efforts here? We've got, all these videos and platforms, and it would just be nice just to centralize it all to one location. And you could watch it, you could join, you could watch it live on Zoom, or you can watch it later from our website link to another website and see it just how you see it on YouTube. It just doesn't say YouTube on it.
Okay, so the meeting tonight though, because I heard two things there and I got confused. I didn't know it was an either or. This will end up on YouTube tonight.
We hope so, if we can get our permissions worked out, yeah,
Okay, that's it.
because we've
Okay.
lost that.
Okay, thank you.
And the reason that we lost that is because the original YouTube account was under our past city administrator, Kenny.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, which is kind of the complexity of this, is we don't really own this material, that it's out on YouTube. If we had a website that we were paid for, that was a government type, municipality service, this would have worked a lot better, so, okay. All right, so,
I guess what I would like to see out of this conversation is I would like to see staff come up with a proposal
okay,
for a governmental grade platform that would provide some additional securities to our recordings and also the ability for open to apply the Open Public Meetings Act.
okay, yeah, there's companies out there, I've already done some research. Boxcast, Cablecast, Reflect, Connect, Webcasting, Diecast, and then the Swagit. So, but there's quite a few out there that other municipalities use, and it's $40 to $100. So there will be a little bit of a cost for this, but then it's done, it's secured. So, okay, I will come back to you.
As long as they still provide the ability for, folks like Mr. Jessel to be able to see a closed caption.
That's 100% requirement, yeah, okay. All right, well, I will come back to you next meeting and just kind of flow through some ideas and where we might want to go. Okay.
Staff will move forward as directed.
Staff will move forward as directed, thank you. All right, moving on to F, so,
Vacation.
oh, I'm sorry, I skipped over E. All right, vacation rentals. Jeff, ready to help me out here and
Sure.
fill us in on the vacation, rentals with commission.
Yes, Mayor Taylor, council members, my name is Jeff Breckel, and I'm the chair of the planning commission. I'm here representing the planning commission. And getting back to you, what was a request from the council last year to take a look at your vacation rental ordinance. And that request came to the council from a number of citizens who were concerned that vacation rentals were having or could have an adverse effect on the residential nature of their neighborhoods by having all these infill sort of vacation rental operations. We took a look at this. We conducted 3 public workshops, work sessions, where we listened to citizens in the community. We listened to the operators of these vacation rentals. We also went out and looked at the vacation rental ordinances, the one that the county has, as well as those in Bingen and White Salmon and Hood River. We looked at North Bonneville, but North Bonneville doesn't have a specific vacation rental ordinance. And in that, we went back and looked at, going back to the ordinance, which was adopted 10 years ago now. So there's a fair amount of history that has gone through in terms of vacation rentals. And we found that there were some things that were working and others that weren't. There was a system that the city had to license vacation rentals. And it worked in kind of a piecemeal way. There were some, I think we've had 23 sort of licensed vacation rentals. 9 were fully licensed, 14 were only partially licensed. And there are probably some out there that are operating without a license. And 16 of those were operated by residents of the city. But there were 7 that were operated by folks that were not in the city. It could be an individual, could be a company. We also found that there were some requirements in there that on the staff of the city to do inspections and enforcement actions, which just really didn't seem to be workable. And I don't think they were working. We didn't see any evidence that the city had actually gone out and done these inspections or had taken an enforcement action if there was a complaint. So basically, we focused on a variety of factors. One was, as was brought to the city council by a number of residents, was the loss of the neighborhood character and livability if we were to have too many of these vacation rentals in a neighborhood, and the reduction of housing available in our city to meet long-term housing needs, permanent residential needs, and the need to assure that vacation rentals meet some basic standards in terms of safety and basically fire requirements. We made recommendations to you, and I'd like to just briefly go over that because there are recommendations. We're not bringing to you an ordinance to adopt. We're bringing to you concepts that we think need to be built into an ordinance. The planning commission doesn't write ordinances. That's generally what your staff and council do. But we felt, first of all, that there should be a numerical cap on the number of units that can be granted licenses in the city. And we were looking at saying that that's 5% of the single family housing stock in the city. Right now, if we take those that are licensed, it's about 2 to 2.5%. So there's still a fair amount of room. And if someone comes in, if the cap ever gets reached, if someone comes in, they're on a waiting list. So if someone discontinues that use, they get picked up on that. We also think that new and subsequent licensees should be residents of the city, rather than an out-of-town promoter of these types of vacation rental operations. Because remember, what we're really talking about is a commercial use in a residential neighborhood.
Mr. Breckel, I don't want to interrupt you but I am going to interrupt you. Hood River tried that. It's found unconstitutional. You cannot limit verbo short-term rentals to occupants, residents of the city or the state. The river tried to say you had to be a resident of Oregon, California, Washington, both jumped on them. They lost quickly. So
Because
it's a restriction you can impose.
we were basically picking that out of the ordinances that Bingen and White Salmon currently have.
Right, and Hood River got hit hard. They ended up paying, I think, $250,000 in attorney fees as a result of the adoption of that ordinance. It was not a pleasant experience for them.
Maybe you could let those other two jurisdictions know tomorrow they're breaking the law, okay? maybe.
But I think nevertheless, I think it's the principle here of having someone who has a vested interest in the community. And I don't, maybe there's another method that you use, you can use to do that, but again, we felt that trying to have someone who was a resident here, was living in our neighborhoods, they were gonna be good stewards of a vacation rental and operator. And when we're talking a vacation rental, remember, we're talking about something that's, rented out to one person 30 days or less. If it's more than that, it's a longer term rental. We also thought that we should just be limiting 2 units to each licensee, and that could be a unit in a house, a shared vacation rental, because we have a number of those already in the city. Or an ADU that may be associated with house or a separate residence. So a combination of that would be 2. We thought we should limit occupancy, and this came back for a number of folks who are saying, well, yeah, we don't want these to become party houses in our neighborhoods. That if we said, okay, you have 2 occupants per bedroom plus 2 additional guests, that would be a reasonable occupancy limit, and have some off-street parking. With regard to basic fire and safety, we think that maybe the fire department should come up with some basic fire standards that could be posted in these, and that the operator should be implementing. But with regard to having the city staff do an inspection, no, that's just not worthwhile. But in place of that, we thought that the operators should insure their vacation rental units as vacation rental units. Our assumption there is that an insurance company is going to require them to meet certain basic fire and safety standards in order to get that insurance. So that would eliminate that current requirement that city staff do that. And again, we think that, in accordance with the ordinances that we've seen in other jurisdictions, the operator should be required to be able to promptly respond to and report on complaints, to deal with the adjacent property owners, sort of a good neighbor policy that you would post out there. And then again, going back to thinking about how you use that, there would be certain prohibited uses. We got quite a chuckle out of the long list of prohibited uses that the Skamania County ordinance has. But what we're saying is, you don't want big company retreats or wedding rehearsals or loud uncontrolled parties or commercial uses in these vacation rentals. Again, we're talking about something that's happening in a residential neighborhood and being a good neighbor within that neighborhood to your fellow citizens. So those are our recommendations. Again, there's details to work out, but we're looking at that as a recommendation that if you're in agreement to ask the city attorney and staff to develop ordinance language that would then go through a public hearing process. Any questions?
So, Mr. Bragg, just, before the questions, on the legal side, Mr. Parr is correct. Most of the communities that are in the city limits that have an HOA do not maintain their HOA. However, the CC&Rs that are recorded with the land can be enforced by anyone who's within that community. So you don't need the official HOA to enforce it. Most of the CC&Rs in these communities, Hidden Ridge, Angel Heights, Shenandoah, have a limitation that you cannot have short-term rentals. So that's already buried into their CC&Rs for those communities. It has to be typically a year-long lease still allows leasing in the properties, but it doesn't allow for a short-term lease. So there's a legal mechanism for your neighborhood if you are in a neighborhood that has recorded CCNRs. Just from a legal standpoint.
Can I ask a point of clarification on that? So are you saying, Mr. Muth, and this isn't me argumentative, this is for me to learn?
No, right.
That the problem, I'm wondering, I'm trying to figure out, number one, I was really interested in what you said about those other jurisdictions, my joke aside. So we need to get to the bottom of that, but I'm wondering if one option of limiting them is not legal, but the other option, which you just meant, is legal, there may be a workaround. In other words, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
If the HOA can limit them, and then we can't as a citywide legally, I'm just wondering, there may be opportunities to figure something out there. And the other thing I'm wondering is, would there ever be any conflict between what the city did jurisdiction-wide and the HOAs? Could you get into that? To where
obviously,
to where they'd have, to where their rights might supersede, we can't take away, you see what I'm saying?
No, I think I'm fine. So if the city was to adopt a code that somehow allowed STRs, short-term rentals, in our city, the HOA would have the right to reduce that, and by saying collectively, we don't want 30-day or 15-day rentals, so they can put that in their code. Those residents, landowners in that community are bound by that. You wouldn't be bound by it if you live up on, Loop or somewhere that's does not have a recorded CCNR.
Okay, so we would never, if we could do something citywide, we wouldn't be doing anything that hurt them if they wanted more restrictions.
Right.
Is what I'm, okay.
So
they
an
can be
HOA,
more
so an HOA can be more restrictive, they cannot be less restrictive.
Correct.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, the city code would trump the HOA to the extent it says, wait a minute, we allow this in the city, and they say, no, we're not going to. No, they can be more restrictive in their HOA bylaws.
So what happens when an HOA dissolves?
We do have-
i.e., Hidden Ridge or Angel
Or
Heights.
Angel Heights. Personally, I was involved in both of those, and the fact they don't have an HOA. So I'm taking off my lawyer hat, put on my lawyer hat. Both HOAs, the communities got together at various times and decided not to maintain their HOA regulations. So the entity that's a nonprofit entity recorded with the state of Washington, that is the Angel Heights Homeowners Association, does not exist anymore.
Okay.
And after 5 years, you cannot renew that entity within the Secretary of State. You'd have to form a new entity. So those HOAs said, we don't want to have a formal HOA. We don't want to have Mr. Rice as our president, Mr. Cox as our treasurer. We don't want to pay $50 a month. We don't want anybody to maintain that. We look to the CCNRs, which again, it's a legal document that's been signed when you bought your property. And anybody who's within that CCNR can enforce them. You don't need the HOA arm to enforce the CCNRs. So that's what happened in Angel Heights and in Hidden Ridge. The HOA does not exist. And there's been discussion about that because there are retention ponds in both HOAs that are not being maintained by an HOA. They're either maintained by the individual residents who, my neighborhood, we all get together usually once, twice a year on July 4th and hit the detention pond. I don't think anybody's done that on Angel Heights forever, but that retention pond is down in the hole. Shenandoah has not reached their turnover rate, so they don't have to turn it over to the HOA. It's still being operated by the declarant. But I know that they have active members or landowners in that community that are being active within the future HOA once it's turned over from the declarant to the homeowners.
Okay, so.
And I can't think of another HOA in the community.
On a
There might
side
be one
note,
up the hill.
There was one in my neighborhood, but
That's
that's been dissolved
Long
a
time.
long time
long
ago.
time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
like
that's-
no two-story.
In essence, yeah. The HOA, Washington state law has tried to impose more duties on HOAs and try to keep them active. It hasn't trickled down to us yet, where it's legal RCW. That we need to then go back to these communities and say, nope, you've got to actually get your HOA in place. But it has been a discussion. It's been a discussion with council for many years.
So, former Councilman Oldfield had concerns about the situation that Mary brought up with the retention pond. And it was supposed to be maintained by the HOA.
Yep.
And the HOA is no longer there. So how does that work? Does that fall back on, is the city then have to take responsibility for maintenance of that?
No, sir, to answer your question directly.
Okay.
Yes, that is an issue. Mr. Oldfield and I are neighbors, and so we do get together and we talk about the retention pond. He has a different view than I personally do, but from a legal standpoint, he is right that nobody has a legal obligation to maintain it if the HOA is dissolved.
Yes.
All, there are 42 in our neighborhood, or yeah, 42 landowners would be responsible. So if something was to happen within that retention pond,
Say it
cause
broke
damage,
or,
well,
yeah, whatever.
there's some manholes or some effluent tunnels and stuff, a kid gets stuck in there or something like that. Arguably, all 42 residents could be responsible for something that took place there.
Through the CCO.
That's arguable. I'm not giving that as a fact. If the city has not taken back, it's been a discussion. I know we've had a couple of meetings on whether or not the city would do that, whether Public Works would take on, I think you got 7, 8 retention bonds, I think, in the city limits. So it's been a discussion. At this point, the city has not accepted that financial responsibility.
Yeah, we got another one sitting right down at the bottom of the hill here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, okay, all right, thank you.
All right.
To the rental thing, can I make a comment? I did watch, your, on YouTube, your commission meetings on this whole vacation rental thing, and one of the things I'll say is that the commission, the planning commission was very thorough, and I, thought it was interesting, speaking of the state rules and stuff. Also, one of your valuable members on the planning commission, Charlie Hales, who had a vast amount of experience because of him being mayor of the city of Portland, so that's called experience, and then he's a resident, lives here. The fact that he gave a lot of valuable input. So I'm just trying to say, not trying to give one of those speeches commending your work like thing, but I'm trying to say is you guys did a really good job, and you had some people involved that were pretty knowledgeable. I was just impressed to watch all the discussion. In fact, I originally had some questions on this and that, and I was heartened after watching those meetings that I thought, well, hey, this is gonna be simpler than I thought, simply because of all the work your commission did, and also the fact that people really can't get upset whatever this city council does, because there's so much room in there before you get to the 5%. That a lot of people are protected. There's just tons of protection for what's happening right now for the rights of those that have vacation rentals now.
Well, and I really want to commend to the operators that came to our work sessions and worked through this with us. You know, a lot of them have those shared units where their vacation rental is in their home. And I think in Hood River, they may have actually gone to requiring that, and that would get around that prohibition, certainly. And there were a number of folks that thought that was a good idea, not for a variety of reasons. One is it keeps things local, but folks also felt that, hey, maybe that would help people buy a home if they could use a vacation rental in that home in order to offset the payment. So there was a lot of good discussion, and I really appreciate the folks that came to that planning commission meeting and sat down and chatted with us about what they wanted to see and how it was working for them and what the issues that they saw. And we've tried to reflect that, I think, in these recommendations. So obviously, we missed one of the legal tenants.
Yeah, Robert, can you say more about that, like the specific constitutional issue?
Again, I was found out because there was a guy who was the lead counsel for that, and we were actually in a trial together, and so he gave me the background of the story. I did read the complaint. Mr. Shoemaker had found it when we were talking about STRs a year and a half ago. And then they went into motion practice, and immediately the city council, sorry, the restriction was withdrawn. So that's how they ended up resolving that. But that was simply because they were trying to impose ownership on Oregon residents only, or restrict it to Oregon residents only. And obviously, there's people from Washington and California that all own homes in the river.
Yeah,
Same
so
would
I
be
think
here
that-
if somebody lives here half the year or a couple of months out of the year, but lives somewhere elsewhere, and they wanted to STR their house.
Yeah, so if I understand right, you could just completely prohibit vacation rentals in residential housing. The issue is that if you restrict it to residents, you're treating one group
Right,
differently.
you can't be arbitrary and capricious in any sort of your legal. God, sorry. None of our laws can be arbitrary and capricious. You can't favor one over another. So it has to treat everybody the same.
So Jeff, just a comment about the fire safety building issue. The way that I see this happening is because this is a commercial use. Would that not fall under the code for our fire marshal to inspect those residences? Much like he does a fire inspection on A&J or, you know, one of the other businesses here in the, it would seem to me like that would be part of this process as well as the insurance issue.
It could. I think we were reluctant in imposing that level of regulation, I guess, on those folks. In other words, you know, obviously any commercial lodging facility is gonna have those fire inspections done. Do you want to have that same burden on someone who rents out a room in their house or rents out their house for 30 days? I mean, that's an option. You could certainly do that. We thought that perhaps the best thing to do would be to have the fire department come up with a list of things that operator needs to include in his in operating his house. In other words, hey, here are the requirements, but not go so far as an inspection. And it's not just smoke detectors and fire extinguishers. It's also making sure that folks know the right egress.
Yeah, ingress, egress, you know, emergency,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, no.
And
Our fire marshal is our building inspector.
yes,
And I think they're just going for regulatory compliance. This
Yeah.
seems like it's above and beyond, so that would be a scope of work increase, and I don't know that that's. And also, you know, the other idea we had discussed is, you know, staff. It's like, we really just don't want staff in people's houses. That's not our thing. Outside people's houses, but going into people's houses is just awkward at best, so.
and I also, I am an advocate of individual being able to utilize their property in a way that they feel is proper. And for us to say, you can't have a company retreat or you can't have a wedding rehearsal dinner in this house. I've got issues with how far you push that. And I just want to go on record that I'm not really for us saying you can't do this, you can't do that. I think there's other ways to go around that.
And there may be, I think, again, we want an operator to be respectful of their
Absolutely.
neighbors. And it's how do you achieve that? Now, the county has a rather extensive list of what's prohibited. It took us all a bit by surprise in terms of you can't have junked cars in your parking on your facility.
I don't think it is within the county under that.
But most of the jurisdictions have some restrictions in terms of, you know, big parties. You know, I think the concern is in the summer during a period or spring break, you have a big party house in a neighborhood that is really disruptive in terms of just the characteristics of the neighborhood. I mean, there are other places you can go to party if that's what you want to do.
Well, I know neighborhoods that have parties, period.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Thank you.
I think the existing ordinance does have some sort of language about that, the impact to the neighborhood. So,
It does, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, all the ordinances have a provision in there that really requires that operator to respond to complaints and to keep the city posted in terms of complaints that have been received and how they've been resolved.
So, Ms. Lazar, so as I understand you're saying is, hey, some of the restrictions that Dave might be mentioning, might already be in the existing ordinance.
Yes, maybe not like specific restrictions, but it does have provisions for addressing situations if it is.
Yeah, and just my only comment on that, on this discussion, that is that when does a place become a home and like a hotel? And what I saw you saying on that wasn't to do what Mr. Cox was, I mean, in other words, use your property, but are using the property as a home where your guests come and pay rent? Or does it become in other words, just like in the sewer ordinance, a property gets to so many, at some level, it goes from an individual property to a subdevelopment. So I'm thinking of it at the same here. You know, in other words, what are ordinary property rights for a house? And then at some point it becomes, no, those are becoming property rights for a hotel and that aren't allowed maybe in a residential area. That's what the lines I was kind of looking for.
Now, if you were to have a single family residence in a commercial zone, this wouldn't apply.
Yeah.
Because there you would have specific regulations with regard to commercial lodging.
Yeah.
And so that house would fall underneath that. So we're simply talking about what happens in our residential neighborhoods, those areas zoned for residential.
Well, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
Yeah.
That'd be okay. I'd like to direct staff and legal counsel to prepare draft amendments, chapter 5.20, consistent with planning commission's February 9th, 2026. Recommendations for council review at a future meeting.
Second.
I just want to understand that all my notes that I've taken with questions about this.
Okay.
Yeah, don't change.
So
These are just suggestions, right? So
Yeah.
when we just accept these suggestions, we can still make
Yes.
changes.
Yes.
If we need to present to the public.
And that's part of this discussion,
Okay.
is to
Just want to
give
be
some
clear that
direction
I don't
back.
Need to have all
Because
this.
they will bring something to us and then we will have further discussion about, does this work? This doesn't work?
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Okay. All right, sorry.
You piqued my interest because did you have input for the record? Because that's, I was wondering what your things were. I wanted to learn from that.
Yeah, I have a lot.
Okay, so, okay, I just didn't want us to.
But
pass over and-
I don't, I mean, if I don't need to bring them up right now, I don't, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Yeah,
I just was anxious to hear what you had to say.
Yeah, I have a lot of research that
Okay, or maybe
I know.
tag up with Jeff later.
Yeah.
and make sure some of those things are covered. I know one of my quick questions is, did we look at the rules and I know VRBO, Airbnb, Vacasa to see what some of their requirements already are? And are we duplicating efforts there?
Well, we hope not, let's put
Okay,
it that way.
okay.
They obviously have requirements in terms of how you operate it, the
Yeah.
health and safety
Yeah.
issues.
Yeah.
Although we've heard sort of mixed reports in terms of how rigorous those standards are. That's why we thought if you have a requirement that you have liability insurance on your vacation
Yeah.
rental as a vacation rental,
Yeah,
you've covered that.
And that's part
We
of-
don't need.
yeah, that's part of the requirement for them to be a vacation rental, and there's certain rules and laws that go along with that in fire.
Yeah.
Life safety as well, so I just want to make sure those were tied up and consistent too, so that's kind of a backstop plan too. Okay, sorry.
Second on the motion, I second.
Yes.
So
you have
Joanne,
a
get that,
motion.
make sure we get this, because I don't think Joanne heard your second.
Oh, yeah, I seconded Mr. Cox's motion.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries, all right. All right, moving on to F, janitorial cleaning services. This is something I've put on the agenda now that I'm working here. Kept sneezing. It's pretty bad here. We haven't had a cleaning service in 2 years. The staff is trying to do the best they can, just on the fly, but to be a professional office space, we need a cleaning service. The last time it was done professionally was, I think Mary was here 2 years ago, and she would do it on her overtime. So if you walk around, there's a lot of dust in the bathroom. So I feel that in order to be a professional, workspace, we need to make it look so. So we have about, I think you said $1,000 in the budget.
Yeah.
So this would be an increase to that. We went out for RFP. I think with the, what was it called?
MBO.
Yeah, which is, no, I can't remember her name right now. So local person to do the cleaning once every Friday. So, we will come back to you at a later date with a budget amendment. Maybe like $4,000. So. Are there any questions? Okay, I will, entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the personal services contract for your cleaning for $532.43, starting March 1st and running.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right. Informational items, financial report. Jane?
Okay, so, I presented council with a financial narrative explaining the budget position. And the invoices and checks are all there for review. Are there any questions? Yeah.
I have a question, and I looked through it and I didn't see it, but I miss things sometime. Remember the time that we tabled or didn't, we took out of the invoices, Ms. Kinley's,
Oh, her final payments?
yeah, so whatever happened there, because I don't recall that coming back to us for approval.
Oh, okay, so maybe that was lost, because I provided all of that to Wes. Her, contract had the increase in scope and the, increase in contract amount. So I don't know if all of that was translated to.
You remember your questions on that? We wanted more detail or something. In other words, I'm recalling.
It was, yeah, verifying that her work on the budget to assist with that, was within the scope, and it was. There was the exhibit A that had her increase in scope, and then the, increase in contract amount to cover.
Okay, well,
But the question was, she included 2026 in that invoice. And that was my question, because that was not included in the contract language or the amendment.
It was, there was an amendment exhibit A that went with that secondary, the contract.
Because we never saw that.
Okay, so I had sent it to Wes, so maybe he didn't forward that, but, that was all provided.
well, I guess my question is we didn't approve it back then, when I went back and looked at it. So if that is not in this batch, how do we get it approved for her to be payment once all that got sorted out?
I thought it was approved contingent on providing.
Okay, and that may be, I think there might have been ambiguity in that, and so I'm fine.
The invoices have been paid. She's been paid.
Okay,
She's
good.
staying under her contract level.
Okay,
Now, kind of how we went about that and what got charged to what was not well defined.
okay.
I think we need to do a little bit better job at the city of defining the scope of work and task orders of who's doing what in the future. But yeah, she's been paid. And
Okay.
the contract's been closed out.
Okay, so thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
Not that I know of. I provided additional, the treasurer's report just to show all the account balances where we are standing now. Everything's moving forward as I anticipate, just starting the year. Seeing any problems right now.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jane. Mayor and staff
Do
report.
we need to motion to approve vouchers or not?
You do that at the end, it's usually.
Oh, is that the end, very end? Oh, I didn't see it on I saw it on the, okay, got it. I apologize.
But
You're
we
correct.
gotta remember to do it. Remember the meeting we didn't, and we gotta call everybody back.
Okay, I get it.
Yes.
I get it. Sorry.
All right, my report, really not a whole lot, just getting up to speed. I've been in the office every day this week. Seeing our processes unfold, how things work, kind of behind the scenes. So this has actually been a really good experience to see how the work gets done, the customers that come in and how we function as a city. So, really, I'm trying to build some business continuity. Having all these strange workarounds we were doing just isn't efficient. So really just kind of coming together as a team and, I guess firefighting is the best way to put it right now. So, so that's really been my focus. Cody, you got?
Yeah, absolutely. I have an update. Good evening. We'll start projects. We'll give a brief update on those. Our Cascade project is still sitting at substantial completion. We provided a very lengthy punch list to Swafford towards the end of January with a 2-week expectation on that, and they did not show up at all. So I am in conversations with our engineers on how we could potentially move forward with that work and take it out of their retention or be able to get them here because it is an absolute mess down there and I'm tired of waiting on it.
Can we go against their bond as well?
Potential, Swafford. Yeah, it's,
I'd like legal to take a look at that.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because we can't have that in these contracts. These guys have got to step up and take care of their responsibilities. If they don't, there needs to be legal ramifications.
I couldn't agree more. My concern at this point is gauging off the work that they did perform on the project. I don't think it's going to be up to par. So at this point, if it's possible, I would like to just move forward with city staff, looking at hiring the county and maybe some landscaping agencies just to complete the work and then knowing it's 100% completed.
Robert, do we have to do a notice to them, let them know that that's going to take place?
So we have two problems. One is we don't want to terminate for convenience simply because they haven't come back. We'd have to terminate for cause. If we terminate for convenience, we'd have to owe them any monies that they claim that are owed or they're not offset. I haven't seen the contract in a while, so I would like a chance to review that. I'll get up with Cody and then make sure we get a report to council through the mayor.
Great, thank you.
Great, what's the ROM as far as how much we might be paying the county to finish this up and do it right?
Well, it'd be 2 stages. We need to get somebody in there to fix the cold patch. Ooh,
$10,000?
we could probably be under 10 to
Okay.
15
Okay.
in total city time, county time.
Okay.
And landscaper, because we need somebody to grade and seed.
I think we need to move forward.
Okay, I just wanted to scope it for us, okay?
Yes, no, absolutely. I tasked the engineers to look into the contract today with it, and I plan on getting with Robert next week to see how we can move forward.
Be like dealing with Stellar J.
You know, I got phone calls about them today still.
Speaking of which, April 16th is your 1 year.
Sorry, that was my
That's just a
side
reminder.
voice.
Cody and I are into the contact, but yeah.
Long-term water supply is continuing forward. We met with the engineering team, electrical engineer, as well as structural engineers and stuff. We met them at the Rock Creek intake as well as the water treatment plant. They did full-on assessment, took inventory of everything. That's kind of the next step. It wasn't overwhelmingly great news with the state of the plant, but we'll wait for that report. Lasher project still on pause. We got through the first round of grant with CDBG and I'm hoping to re-engage with the second. Next week, logging cleanup at the high level is nearly complete. The contractor's doing a wonderful job and it looks way better than it ever has. Merchantable timber will be hauled off next week.
Do we have a contract with them for reimbursement on the merchantable log?
All the timber's coming to us.
Okay.
All the proceeds. Something that we talked about this fall and that we put in the budget was I want to start changing some isolation valves throughout the city. They're 50 to 60 years old and they're just not working and we have a hard time shutting down sections of our water lines. So I have met with some of our staff here to come up with a short list of about a dozen valves that are critical. And we came with a multi-year staged plan. And I've been in conversations with 4 or 5 different vendors to start getting numbers and quotes to see how many we can do each year of that plan. And hopefully by this summer, we've got some actual work plan for that. That is moving forward. Based off our discussion at the council retreat, I have reached out to some engineers about getting some scoping done for Levens. Looking to just do 10% right now, and then that allows us to apply to funding like TIB. It's a really good project since it's mostly restoration work that TIB will probably pursue. And then we've also been working with our GIS manager to update portions of that. We're going to be purchasing Trimble units, and I'm going to have staff go out and do some fine tuning of our system. Currently, water meters aren't showing where water meters should be in valves and storm lids, etc. So we're just going to do it in house and we're going to do it right.
And if you want to volunteer to help you with that, I could walk around with a Trimble.
You got it. I'm going to get a couple of them because we've got a couple thousand assets. It's going to take some time, but
there you go.
we're gonna do it right this time. On our wastewater side, as Robert mentioned, our treatment plant's coming up on 1 year, so we've been detailing and taking inventory of any little thing that's going wrong, and then we'll do a walkthrough with Stellar J to kind of get those remaining things fixed. All in all, it's just a couple things, some valve issues and stuff like that, but overall, it's working pretty good. Wrapping up EDA grants for the lift station. It has been an absolute nightmare working with the federal government, but we are getting through it one step at a time. I think we filed the UCC 3 times now. And to our street section, we've installed some 1-hour parking signs on the Middle Russell in front of the post office. Crew's been repairing the road up to the city water intake. Believe it or not, we're already brush mowing. It's only February, but here we are. We had some trees removed along Rock Creek Drive that were interfering with the PUD lines. PUD reached out with major concerns about them continuing to grow. We discussed the options to trim them, but with the level that they would have needed to be trimmed, we had concerns with them actually surviving. These side notes, they were also nearing the age to where the roots can majorly impact the sidewalks. And the last thing we want is pedestrian hazards on our sidewalks. It did improve the visibility of the crosswalk. We are still looking into a suitable replacement that won't grow us tall and will keep our visibility open. City staff noticed some tears in our flags. There were the last couple windstorms got to them pretty good. So we ordered some new ones, Public Works changed them all out. And then we've also had a few requests to look into the lighting. So we've started that process. John and I went and looked today. We tested the photo cell. It is working. So our next step is to change the bulb and see what we get from there. And if we're not getting what we like, we'll change the light. But we'll make sure we get that done.
The library has a really good one that they're using.
Perfect.
And it's fairly small. I don't know how it's mounted on the building or anything, but yeah.
Perfect. I like that. Yeah. Ours is hardwired in. So I feel like we should be able to get something pretty decent, but I'm hoping it's just the bulb, but it's a very unique bulb. So we're going to pull it out of the casting next week and see if we can order a replacement and start small.
Thank you.
Of course. And then the majority of the thing I wanted to talk tonight about was the Rock Creek intake. I sent you guys all something into the agenda to kind of talk about the state, but we'll get into it a little bit more. So the brief update of what is going on. At the beginning of all these projects, so we've had the Rock Creek intake, long-term water supply 1B, long-term supply 1B, Hayward well upgrades. They kind of all spiraled off each other. But the first one was originally the Rock Creek intake, and that was because we were losing flow into our system. In 21, when this project started, we were sitting around 250 to 300 gallons a minute, which is fine. The city can survive on that. In the 3 years that this study has been going on, we have reduced to half of that. So we're during the summer getting around 125, 150 gallons a minute. And it's getting to the point to where we have major concerns that it will survive this summer. If it doesn't, we will switch to the well. The well has not been run long-term. Thankfully, it has had all the upgrades, so it has communication, it has additional chemicals that help with the pH balance and stuff like that. But if it goes out, we have no redundant system, which would mean a water outage for our community. The focus has kind of been shifted around, but we need to kind of circle back to Rock Creek. The big thing was getting Hagerwald well taken care of, so we could actually focus on Rock Creek, because before we didn't have a safe redundant backup for long term. So the hopes is to be able to get in there this summer, and what we would be looking to do is can't quite squeak an emergency permit under Department of Drinking Water and Department of Health. It is only a true emergency when the system completely fails. So yay. There are some workarounds. Grayling has been talking to their permit specialist, and they're still fairly certain that we can streamline this along to where we can get in there this summer. And what we'd end up doing is putting a coffer dam probably in July or August when the water table is as low as possible. And we would only be replacing the broken parts. So it would have to be a like for like replacement, but we'd be upgrading with stainless steel components. I don't know the exact metal that's in there, but I'm assuming it's galvanized because of when it was put in. Stainless is obviously going to last significantly longer. The screens are going to last significantly longer. And then the other thing I want to do is replace the wet well that's down there and change out the flushing system. Right now that gets back flush, but it's just direct pressure from the water plant Levon. We need to install a high pressure flushing system. It's what the Public Works did 15 years ago, and it's what we need to get back to so we can actually clear that silt and settlement that manages to find its way in there. Best way forward to ensure that this happens is moving forward with this project and moving forward with it very quickly. We've done some quick research into city funds. There are city funds through bonds that we could use to cover this. Mayor Taylor and I have been discussing different grant opportunities, and we've reached out to a few folks. So I'm going to come back in early March at our next meeting with an update on cost and how we'd like to proceed with it. But at this point, I am looking for council's decision of whether or not we want to move forward, start the process with this.
Oh, I think we definitely need to move forward with it.
So scope wise, we're looking probably at about 500,000. But we get a lot out of that. And, you know, we touched base with Representative Waters, about this. Unfortunately, we just missed this session. So yeah, we'll continue to go find some grants. Our backstop here is we do have money invested. So we could pull out a bond and pay for that. So that's kind of, I put on here a meeting in two weeks, to talk about a couple of things. And that's probably, one of the big ones is to really get going on this and give us permission and approval to pull that bond so we can get the money, so we can start paying people to get this going.
Is this on the CIP?
I believe it is. I will need to double check.
I don't remember seeing it. That's why I'm asking.
I think it was maybe as part of the long-term water solution. Maybe
long-term water is on there.
The water
It was-
plan.
It was embedded in this. This is just something
This is
we
a
have to do
proposal.
now. And this is where we started too.
Okay, I just want to make
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
that it's in there so that when we start looking for grants,
Oh, yeah.
that we can refer back to that and say, this is long-term for us, so.
It is under the long-term umbrella, and Rock Creek might specifically be on there. And then the other thing that I wanted to bring up, one of the other things that the council budgeted for this year was to invest in our water system plan, about $170,000. That discussion came from previous employees saying this plan, it's a 10-year plan, has to be done every 10 years. The last time it was completed was 2016. So the directive was we need to start this. It takes about a year. We started in January with Department of Health, but they informed us that while the plan started in 2016, it did not actually finish until 2019 because of delays. So we have about another year before we actually need to start that plan.
So we've
So we
got money.
have a little cushion
Yeah.
that we could pivot towards that's already in the water fund.
Good.
So silver lining.
So the bond might be more like 400K. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Normal.
All right.
Just a quick question for you on another subject. It was brought up this evening. Can you have, the crews check that sewer line underneath Rock Creek? Make sure that it's clear of all debris and
No,
everything.
we've already done it. The line that Brian is referring to is actually a water line. The one on the north side that has all the jars and jagged is a water line. The one on the south side is the sewer line. It's encapped with insulation. It's been checked. There was one tear in the phone that the crews engaged on fixing. And as far as the water line, there's special seals that hold it together on the angles, but it is something that I put in our FEMA request to either replace and move or go under the water. And I guess on the FEMA request, the state made it through as a whole. There was enough damage that we got pushed into the federal side of things. So now we're in the waiting game.
Okay. Thank you.
Of course.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? Okay. All right, moving on to voucher approval. I'll entertain a motion.
I would make a motion to approve the vouchers as presented.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, you got that, Joanna? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries. Issues for next meeting. Does anybody have anything they want to discuss?
I'd like to bring up my resolution for discussion and potential adoption.
We will add that.
I would like to have a discussion on the, with water billings that we look at for, water leaks, to raise that limit from 1,000 to 1,500.
Yeah. Yeah. Water, water prices aren't what they used to be. So, okay. And that would be a resolution then to increase. Right now, we forgive up to $1,000. And
I think it's in our ordinances, but I'll have to check. I can't remember where we have that.
all right, can you run that to Brad? Okay. And then any additional public comment? Yes.
Hi, Stacy Patton, very much a public records, open public meetings advocate. Very hard to follow everything that was thrown out tonight. I have a friend and a mentor named Perry Colburn who always says, look for the gorilla in the room. I think originally it was stated you planned on taking away the audio and the video to fall in line with the port and the county, even though the county has audio and has pre-COVID. Little North Bonneville, which I think is more defunct than you guys, has had audio forever, pre-COVID. The YouTube, there's not been any complaints, is what I heard. This is a small community. If somebody had did something, it would be all over social media. If one person chooses to take something Dave may or may not said and make fun of it, well, that's on them, not on the council. I say that very strongly. I've been sued over public records. And my great lawyers at Washington Coalition for Open Government fought all the way to the Supreme Court. And one of the arguments, the officer who was trying to have audios withheld, his argument was, well, once that audio gets out, people could take it and they could link it to YouTube and music and make fun of it and everything. And the Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court said, too bad. You're public servants, and that is legitimate public concern of what takes place. So no matter what way it's tried to twist COVID, there was nothing good about COVID. But having audio, having video, having YouTube that there's not been any problems with, and I suspect that maybe there's problems now because it got pulled. Wes has been running it for a year under Leanna's thing with no problem, from my understanding. My husband watches it all the time. Nothing personal, I don't, because it's painful. But it's been there. It has not had a problem, and it's not been a thing. So to take away a transparency thing that is the only hope in public trust for the citizens is a slap in the face, no matter what excuse is being used. Pay more money, pay for some other platform. YouTube is free. YouTube's been fine. So I just ask that you guys stick to the real facts, not pull it because you're fearful of people mocking you or making fun of you, because we live in a world where anybody can take anything and make AI, make it funny. Well, you're still gonna have your original recording over here that shows the true picture, no matter what somebody else in the community does with it. So I urge you to go backwards, fall back in line with what you were doing prior to somebody's really bad decision. Thank you.
All right, produce that.
Yeah.
Stacy, quite frankly, I could care less what people say about me. I've been in law enforcement for 33 years and I've been called every name you can ever think of. So that isn't a reason for pulling YouTube. So they've had some real problems with our migration of going from Outlook and Microsoft from what we were before. So there's a lot of backstory that you don't know of, but yeah, I get it. I know where you're coming from. Thank you.
Yes, Mary.
What she said doubled. Accountability and transparency are important in a free society. And yes, things can be taken out of context and other stuff happens. But the more accountable and the more transparent you can be, the better for your community in the long run. PUD and trees. I complained about this, that sent you all letters. I sent you all pictures of all the poles that are in our community and all of the lines that we now have on these poles. In 1990, when I first came here, there were 2 lines on those small poles. Now we have 11 or 13 lines on some of our poles, and they've gone to 40 feet, I believe, the one across from the library, which I sent you a picture of. PUD should not have a say over our trees. There was no line of sight issue there. And if you were having problems with line of sight, you were driving on the sidewalk. So, that's totally discounted, and excuses don't make facts. Hotel Stevenson, though, our new one-way. I had 2 cars come at me head on from Hotel Stevenson's alley. Apparently, all those trucks that were parked going this way didn't impact their driver's license abilities. They came uphill. And so maybe there should be a arrow going down that way at Hotel Stevenson, because that alleyway, they park there and then they come up to Highway 14 instead of going to 2nd Street, which is really annoying. And that was like within 5 minutes of each other. I had to stay there and watch them go. I really would like our city to consider the dark sky initiative when you talk about lights. Many of us, as we get older, our eyes get much more frustrated by these halogen lights. And the one at the library actually is a good example of what not to put up, because it actually goes out instead of broadly being shielded and hitting the sidewalk and the area underneath it. So lighting is important, but it should also be aesthetic too. And the Dark Sky Initiative is something that works really well. We live in a migration path for birds and that's going to be starting here shortly. And we have the lights out stuff. Some of you may be involved in it. So I would urge our city to be careful of how we use lights, and that they don't point out, they point down, they're shielded, and they don't bother people when you're driving, especially. The one at the library can really hit you in the eyes and make you think bad thoughts. So thank you very much. And again, transparency and accountability, good stuff to have. The more, the better.
Okay. Anybody else?
There's another raised hand.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Mitch Patton again. I had 2 things I wanted to touch on. The first one is the YouTube or the Zoom or whichever platform it is that you guys go with. I think that's the one thing, is to keep in mind which one has the longest retention, so that the public can go back and see those videos. I mean, there must be at some point where these things get deleted out after, like somebody had mentioned, 100 and some days or something, and they just start eating them away. And then, so where is the retention that we have today, with our recorded meetings and whatnot? And just really keep in mind that we need to, whatever it is that we do, I think we need to keep in mind is that retention of that. But no matter, regardless of the platforms, some of the platforms are easier to work on, some of them aren't. But generally, after you've used them, you can kind of figure them out, what makes them function properly. The second thing that I heard was on the short-term rentals. I really have a struggle with that one, on telling people what they can and cannot do with their property. I mean, the key word here is they're inside the city limits. The city should kind of be a key word to residential living. I mean, is city residential? I don't believe that it is. Residential living is what the county has out on rural lands, is residential. I don't believe that the city functions as residential. And the other thing I heard during that statement is just one regulation after another, more and more regulations, and can't do this, and you got to have a permit for that. And we need to get away from that. We need to step back and quit over regulating people's rights to live and walk freely around on their property. And then the third part of that whole disaster that I can see is, and I didn't hear anything, I don't think I did anyhow, about, let's say we make these motions, we make these ordinances. I didn't hear anything at all about a review date put in place to see if it is functioning properly, or does it got some stuff. Everybody wants to pass these resolutions and keep adding more ordinances and just more permits, more fees, more this and that. But then we get down to the point of enforcing these things, which I don't know how many times I've said this before. You can't make resolutions and ordinances that you cannot enforce, or you don't have the staff to do it, or even the legal ability, like was mentioned about, well, if you don't live in the city, you can't have them. I mean, that's just completely bizarre that would even be a thought process. You don't have to live in the city to own property there. You can live anywhere you want in the world and own property there. So trying to refine it to, well, if you have to live in the city is just complete overreach. So far as that, I guess the key points are retention on the meeting packet or the meeting recordings, and stop overreach on the short-term rentals. Get some review dates put in place when you guys do go ahead and approve things. Let's always put a review date in there, 6 months or 1 year, so we can go back and look at it without having to have a complete whole nother public meeting and functions and everything under that. And there was one other thing, and I will contact Cody on this because it's about that Rock Creek intake, the one that he's working on right now. And I have some pretty good ideas. I've mentioned it to him before, but I will save that for later, and I'll contact him directly and go from there. But other than that, that's pretty much all I have for tonight. Thank you.
All right. Okay, thanks, Mitch. All right, I think that's it. Adjournment. It's right at 7:59. Adjourn the meeting. Thanks, everybody. Hopefully we'll see you March 5th.